I sat in the dungeon where even light dared not venture. Curses scratched against the walls like demons clawing through damp stone. I was chained, but they could not bind my thoughts. I had shed blood on the battlefields, defending the honor of the crown. But now, in this darkness, even the shadows betrayed me. My name is Raymond de Valcourt, and I have come to tell you my story, a tale of betrayal, vengeance, and how the truth finds you when you least expect it. I stood in the hall, surrounded by splendor, yet warmth eluded me. King Robert, my lord and sovereign, sat upon a gilded throne, embodying the betrayal that was to unravel before my eyes. The advisor read the charges aloud, his voice echoing through the chamber like a death knell. Betrayal. Conspiracy. I couldn't comprehend how this was possible. Me, a steel shadow of the crown? I lunged toward him, but the guards yanked me back, the air escaping my lungs. How could I find myself in this hell? Perhaps this was just a game of which I was unaware of the rules. But it was only the beginning. The cries that echoed through the dampness were not solely my own. They resonated through lost lives, tears, and suffering. I felt terror seep into my bones, as if cold fingers of death traced along my spine. What was happening to me? I was trapped not by my enemies, but by those closest to me. As night fell upon the castle, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. Jill, my former squire. He had risked everything to see me, and in that moment, he became my only ally in this fight for survival. His whispers of freedom tingled in my ears, overlaid with the distant cries of a dying guard. He had bribed a sentinel to secure my escape, a desperate move against the odds. We fled into the forest, scavenging for roots and living among the outcasts. Each day was a grueling battle for survival, yet I was free from lies and treachery. Was I now free to live without honor? The woods whispered secrets of truth, filled with the rustling leaves and the scent of damp earth. "Do you wish to return?" Jill asked, his eyes questioning my resolve. "Or have you forgotten what honor means?" "I have not forgotten, my friend. Honor still lives, even in this wilderness," I replied, determination swelling within me. Among the outcasts, I heard whispers of a plot. Rumors that the Marquis de Lagrange had orchestrated my downfall. He sought to ascend the throne, and I was merely a pawn in his treacherous game. I learned that the very man I had served was the architect of my ruin, and with that knowledge came a fierce resolve. I swore an oath. I would return, not just for vengeance, but to reclaim my very essence. With each passing day, the shadows of the past grew fainter, yet a new darkness loomed on the horizon, a truth shrouded in lies, waiting to be unveiled. Each night, I would look up at the stars, swearing my loyalty, not to a king, but to the truth that needed uncovering. I abandoned my armor. Instead, I donned the guise of a rogue, a ghost among the living. In this realm of uncertainty, I became a specter, and the specter was fueled by rage and a thirst for justice. I learned to navigate the darkness, to listen to the whispers that echoed from the depths of my heart. I realized that sometimes, to find your way back to yourself, you must first lose everything. In the shadows, I became something different, a protector of the truth, a harbinger of justice. As dawn broke and the sun painted the sky in hues of gold, I knew one thing. The truth would not remain hidden forever. Even in the darkest of times, I clung to hope. With each step into the light, I felt the strength of purpose swell within me. No longer would I be a victim, I would take back what was rightfully mine. I began gathering allies from those who had also suffered under the weight of deception. Together, we formed a bond, an unbreakable pact forged in the flames of betrayal. But our journey was riddled with challenges. Each encounter was a test of our resolve. We faced betrayal from within our ranks as whispers of discontent stirred the air like venomous snakes. "Would you turn your back on your comrades?" I challenged one of the dissenters, my voice steady as we stood on the edge of a precipice. "Not for the likes of you," he spat back, but the fire in their eyes flickered, and I could see doubt creeping in. I held steadfast to my belief that the truth would prevail, even if it meant confronting the darkness within myself. I was no longer just a knight. I was Raymond de Valcourt, a man on a mission to reclaim the honor that had been stripped away. As we marched toward the castle, I could feel the weight of history pressing down upon us. Memories of laughter and camaraderie faded, replaced by the bitter taste of betrayal. But deep within the recesses of my heart, a flicker of hope ignited, a reminder that even the darkest nights give way to the dawn. Finally, we arrived at the castle gates, our hearts pounding with anticipation. No longer were we the forsaken, we were warriors united by a common goal. Inside, the air was thick with tension, and every step echoed with purpose. The guards stood at attention, but their eyes betrayed uncertainty. They could sense the shift, a tidal wave of change sweeping through the air. As I stepped into the grand hall, the Marquis awaited, a smug smile plastered across his face, but I could see through the veneer of confidence. He was a man standing on the precipice of his own demise. "You have come to plead for mercy," he sneered, arrogance dripping from his words. "No," I replied, my voice steady and unwavering. "I have come to reclaim that which you took from me." With that statement, I could feel the room shift. The weight of the truth hung heavy in the air, like a storm brewing on the horizon. A battle was not fought solely with swords. Sometimes the fiercest battles were fought with words that pierced like daggers. As our confrontation unfolded, I felt the pulse of the crowd shift in my favor. They were captivated by my resolve, their hearts igniting with the same fire that burned within me. "Will you allow yourself to be ruled by fear?" I challenged the spectators, my voice resonating off the stone walls. And then a murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, awakening the spirit of resistance that lay dormant within them. The Marquis's confidence faltered, and in that moment I saw a glimpse of his true nature, a coward hiding behind a mask of authority. With every word spoken, I dismantled his facade. The truth seeped into the cracks of his carefully constructed world, and as I revealed his treachery, the tides of betrayal turned against him. And just when it seemed the storm would consume him, I felt a sense of vindication wash over me. The truth had found its voice, and justice was finally within reach. As the Marquis was dragged away, I turned to face the crowd once more. Let this be a reminder: honor can never be extinguished, for it lives in each of us, waiting to be awakened. Together, in that moment, we forged a new beginning, a commitment to protect the truth and uphold the honor that had been tarnished. And as dawn broke over the castle, I felt the weight of the past lift from my shoulders. The journey had changed me, not just as a man, but as a knight once again, fighting for a cause greater than myself. In the shadows of death, I found new life, a truth I held close to my heart. The battle was won, but the war for honor and justice would continue. If this story has haunted you as much as it has haunted me, subscribe to hear the next chapter, a journey through the trials of honor and the quest for truth in a world shadowed by deception. As the sun rose higher in the sky, illuminating the castle walls, I felt the warmth of a new dawn envelop me. The shadows that had loomed for so long were finally beginning to recede. I stood among the people I had fought to protect, their faces lighting up with newfound hope and determination. We gathered in the courtyard, a diverse assembly of men and women who had once been scattered and broken. Each of us had experienced our own trials, but now we were united by a common purpose. We shared not only the burdens of our pasts, but also the dreams for our future. "I have learned in darkness," I began, looking out into the sea of faces, "that hope is not a mere flicker. It is a blazing fire waiting to be ignited." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound reverberating off the stone walls, echoing my conviction. In that moment, I knew we could build a society where truth and justice reigned supreme, free from the grip of deceit. As we plotted our next steps, I couldn't shake off the sensation that we were still in a precarious position. While the Marquis had been exposed, there were still those loyal to him lurking in the shadows, ready to strike back. "We must remain vigilant," I warned my newfound companions. "The forces of betrayal are not easily quelled. We will need cleverness, strength, and unity to protect what we have achieved." Whispers of dissent were still present among the ranks, but I chose to channel my energy into inspiring trust. It was essential to show my comrades that every single one of them had value, that we were all deserving of a brighter future. "Look around you," I urged. "These are your brothers and sisters. They fought for you just as fiercely as you fought for them. Together, we can forge an unbreakable bond, a chain of loyalty to combat the darkness." The crowd swelled with enthusiasm, their spirits rising like the larks at dawn. I could see the determination in their eyes, a burgeoning sense of identity and purpose. In the weeks that followed, we worked tirelessly to fortify our defenses, break down the stronghold of corruption, and re-establish a council that would represent the voice of the people. Each decision was a step toward healing the wounds inflicted upon us by treachery. As we rebuilt, I felt the burden of my past merge with the hope of the future. I learned that the pain of betrayal could be transformed into a wellspring of strength. In my heart, I carried a torch for all those who had suffered in silence, and I would honor their struggles by ensuring our new society would be one of integrity. But lurking in the back of my mind was the ever-present threat of revenge from the Marquis and his followers. I had to confront the reality that we were not yet out of the woods. The battle was far from over. One night, as I shared my thoughts with Jill, he looked at me with narrow eyes. "Are you afraid, my lord?" he asked, genuine concern etched into his brow. "Fear is a natural companion on this journey, Jill," I replied. "But it should never hold us captive. Instead, we must harness it, use it to sharpen our resolve." He nodded, an understanding passing between us. We needed to prepare for the inevitable confrontation, to outsmart the cunning who sought to undermine our hard-fought victories. As we strategized, word reached me that Lagrange had not retreated quietly into the shadows. He was gathering support among the disgruntled, those who had felt wronged by the changes we were implementing. Whispers of a coup began to circulate, and I knew that we needed to act quickly. The night before the planned confrontation, I gathered my closest allies. We met in the woods, the moonlight filtering through the branches like a celestial spotlight. Tomorrow, we face not just one man, but a tide of resentment fueled by fear, I told them. We must stand together, shoulder to shoulder, united in our purpose. One of my comrades, a burly man named Arnaud, spoke up. "Let them come. They will find that we are not as weak as they believe." "Indeed," I affirmed, feeling the fire of camaraderie burn in my chest. "But we also need to be smart. Surprises can be our greatest weapon." With our plans in place, we ventured back to the castle, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As dawn broke, casting a warm golden hue over the battlements, I felt a sense of calm wash over me amid the brewing storm. The game was about to begin, and we would play it with the wisdom of the times we had suffered through. As the sun rose higher, I could see silhouettes assembling in the distance. The Marquis had made his move, and our time had come. With the weight of our collective hopes resting on my shoulders, I stepped forward, my heart pounding like a war drum. The crowd gathered outside the castle, a sea of faces, each reflecting the determination that coursed through my veins. We had come so far, and I would not let our sacrifices be in vain. "Let them come," I shouted, raising my sword high. "For every betrayal they throw at us, we will answer with our strength." Then, as if orchestrated by some unseen hand, an army of the Marquis's loyalists surged forth, and the air filled with the clang of steel and the cries of battle. The ensuing chaos was overwhelming, yet I felt a strange sense of clarity amidst the turmoil. Each swing of my sword, each shout of defiance, was a step toward reclaiming our future. In that moment, I realized we were not just fighting against the Marquis. We were fighting for every soul who had been crushed under the weight of corruption. We were not just warriors, we were the embodiment of hope. As the battle raged on, the tide turned in our favor. Our unity and determination began to break through the facade of fear the Marquis had so carefully constructed. I caught sight of him in the distance, his face twisted with rage as he witnessed his plans unraveling. Fueled by our momentum, I charged toward him, my heart pounding with both vengeance and righteousness. It was time to confront the man who had nearly sundered our lives apart. "Your reign of lies ends here," I shouted, my voice cutting through the chaos. As he turned to face me, I could see the cowardice beneath the bravado. "You think you can defeat me?" he sneered, but there was a tremor in his voice that betrayed his fear. "I have already won," I declared, feeling the collective strength of my allies bolstering my resolve. The clash between us was fierce, and each parry and thrust echoed the struggle of our past. But I was no longer just a knight. I was a force driven by a purpose greater than myself. With one final maneuver, I disarmed him, sending his sword clattering to the ground. The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound reverberating in the air like a symphony of justice. As I gazed down at him, a sense of closure washed over me. He had been the embodiment of everything corrupt and vile, but I had triumphed, not just for myself, but for those who believed in me. "You may have tried to extinguish our light," I said, standing tall over him, "but you only strengthened our resolve. The truth will always find a way to shine." The Marquis was taken away, and as I turned to face the crowd, I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. Together, we had weathered the storm. The darkness that had once threatened us was vanquished, and in its place stood a new dawn filled with hope, unity, and the promise of better days. If this tale resonates with you, if it ignites a fire within you, I invite you to join me on this journey. Subscribe to my channel to witness the adventures that lie ahead, as we continue to unravel the tapestry of truth, honor, and the power of unity in our lives. Together, we can confront the shadows and embrace the light. The story is far from over, and your place in it is waiting.